This is what's happening. Unbeknownst to most people here, Mongolia, Manchuria, and Hindustan have been backing up the bond debt to keep this thing floating for the last 20, 25 years. Not recently, the last 20, 25 years, because you haven't woken up yet. And you're the sovereign, not just here, actually of the land. Meaning the very last people on the totem pole is actually the firstborn, primogeniture. So everybody's right actually hinges on you, and you're in the worst shape. Everybody's been trying to get back to the sovereignty without you. They've had access to things that you have not had access to, but yet you are the first. Your mental is the last and below the last. In order to don the throne, you must be elevated, not only spiritually, but mentally, to be competent to sit on that throne. For the world depends on the sovereign. It's a great responsibility. So they also can't afford you to be sitting on that throne acting like you're bipolar. And start thinking that light-skinned green people is real. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I mean, and trying to defend it. The reality is you're incompetent. And you know that we're proud and arrogant too. Because we saved and nobody else is. Everybody living off us, but we saved. I mean, we're the only ones that believe that. But however, that's what our community, that's where they are. And yet everybody, whether it's the churches or the bars, go to the bank every Monday morning with the biggest outflow of economics from our communities every week. And we have nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, people come from all around the world, other nations, whether it's you got gas stations or stores or convenience stores or food stores, and live off of us, but yet we claim to be poor. It's because we don't understand economics. Even the fact that our people think that Federal Reserve knows too much, and you can't tell them different. So they don't even know the rules of the game. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so we've got to make our people competent so that they can fight Rome. Rome is desperate. They're acting arrogant, but they're desperate and they're scared. For real. You know what I mean? But don't say that with anger. Understand because they just really are. Now, what's happening is that they're liquidating and they can't meet their bonds. Which means in short order, you're going to need a wheelbarrow of dollars to get a loaf of bread. So they got to keep artificially propping this thing up. But the ultimate salvation is only one issue. Because everything they do in between is going to absolutely fail and flatline. The ultimate solution is nationalization of everything. The banks, the resources, the corporations, etc., which they're trying to avoid doing. But believe me, not because I say so, use your intelligence, your calculations. They're being pushed in that area. They're doing everything they can to avoid it, even though they're talking about, well, we're going to get a national ID. They're talking that stuff, but they know that they can't enforce it because they're not the national. They're talking about national ID, Homeland Security. They don't really want it. They're just threatening everybody. But as soon as they produce it, then they got to produce who they are, and they're not national. See, it's like it's catch-22. Because ultimately that's where it has to go. So what they're trying to do is sell everything they can, get as much as they can while this thing is falling. So that when it flatlines, the people are in debt. You understand what I'm saying to you? But they're not going to be able to take all the wealth. That's what's up. And then ultimately, the true heir has to be identified. Because it's like this. They're going to be forced. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter what our good brother Obama does. They're going to be forced. After good moon. You know, they want, how to say, try every other medicine they can. try every treatment they can, chemo and everything. You got to cut that sucker off. Type thing. And I want you to read this, and and this is also important, you know, with the concept with nationalization and naturalization, but we want to make sure that's clear, right? Law book, Gina. Now, Nora, consider this. Remember we talked a little while ago, you know, about land patents, etc. And when you look at land patents, I want you to do research on Horace Greeley. Yes, that's with 2 E's. Horace Greeley. He was a newspaper tycoon in New York. And then you're going to look at the Whig-a-More Party, also referred to as the Whigs Party. Go to Knights of Columbus, Ku Klux Klan polls in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1854, and in Chicago, Illinois, 1863, when the Europeans began to call themselves white people. Then you're going to look at the Naturalization Act of 1870, as referred to in the law book. All right, read that, sis. And then after you read that, I want you to read Free White Persons. All right? Can you come up here, please? Give us some peanut butter sandwiches. Do your thing.
Nationalization.
Up here.
In Spanish and Mexican law, nationalization. The nationalization of property is an act which denotes that it has become that of the nation by some process of law, whereby private individuals or corporations have been, for specified reasons, deprived thereof.
Now stop right there. And without being a national, that can't happen. Are we understanding? Huh? The ultimate power to save a nation all over the world when it goes into what you call dire economic death. The ultimate securing of it is nationalization, because that's the only real, what you call, authority or buying power outside of real money. So if you ain't got money, and then you've got a lot of people that's corrupting up the system, and they just ruined everything. You know how it is? That's what you do, you flatline it. That means everybody's cars give up. Oh, it ain't cheating, it ain't marking the deck and stuff. We keep doing, oh, doesn't matter. Give up the cars. You can't do that. Oh, I'm the boss. That deck is dead. New deck. You can't do that. What'd you say? You can't do that. Jail. Oh, I resist. Pow, right here. It's war. That's what happens in nationalization. That's what Hitler did. That's what Castro did. That's what Hugo Chavez did when these Bush boys tried to do to them in their own land what they did to us. They wasn't having it, so they nationalized the oil fields. No Drawley nationalized us, but we still want to stay black. So of course they still got it. That's all that's happening. And we got to make sure our people understand what nationalization is. That's why they're taking all your properties that you was never going to pay for anyway. And then in order to get them back, you have to nationalize it. And as long as you don't show yourself competent, the state is going to keep on selling your stuff off, because he's under pressure, because all those instruments that he just sent around the world under warship in your behalf is dead. They're toxic. Nobody wants. You understand? So they got to liquidate. Meanwhile, they didn't do the job of educate you. You understand? And then they got comfortable in your throne, in your company. So they didn't just take the gold and leave like they planned to. They got comfortable. You see what I'm saying to you? And that's what this U.S. democracy thing is. European colonists that are still colonists, that know they're colonists, but know you forgot. They took over your land, your resources, got you thinking that you're crayons, all you incompetent, got all your property on the wardship,